Annapurna, leave no trace behind. This is a game that immediately lends itself to recommend a beer pairing with the Campsite Pale Ale, also leave no trace. And this is a game that is not out yet. It is going to go on Kickstarter soon, so this video is going to be a preview in the sense that it's about a game that has not been released yet, but it is also a review, not one of those paid previews, because I don't do those. I like to retain the freedom of saying whatever the heck I want, and to do so, well, I don't get paid, so that I know I don't have any influence of even subliminal or subconscious. Now, this is a game that can be played cooperative or competitive. The cooperative game is sort of like the intro game. You can play it as a light puzzle, but really the main game, the heart of the game, is in the competitive, which makes it interesting because the game has a sort of like a Zen theme that also goes together with some particularly cutthroat mechanics. So that's an interesting idea. The point is that we're going to try to climb this mountain, and once we're there, we're going to try to balance the force. We'll see what that means, but the idea is not just a race to the top, but a process in which we're going to try to leave no trace behind, or not to leave a lot of footprints. What does that mean? You'll see. Now, each player has a set of cards such as this one. You shuffle all of your cards together, then you use them to build the mountain that you see here. You place your meeple at the bottom, and you will have 3 cards left to form your backpack. These cards will have a number of symbols here, which can be yin or yang or 0 or nothing. And the idea is that at the end of the game, at the end of the round, when everybody has reached the top, you'll check what is your differential. Suppose that these are the only cards showing on my mountain at the end of the round. My differential is 1, 3 minus 2. You're going to try to have as much balance as possible between the yin and the yang, and so ideally we want to have 0. At the end of the round, the player with the lowest differential between yin and yang of their mountain will score the most points, second player little less points, and so on and so forth. Each round, players will score some points, and then at the end of the round, you reshuffle all the cards, you reset your mountain and your backpack, and you continue like this until a player has reached 9 flags. The player wins the game. Now, how does it work? When it is your turn, you can do one of several actions. A common action is you're going to explore. The first turn in a round, you must explore one of the cards at the bottom of your mountain. Exploring means that you simply flip it face up. You resolve what it says. Say here I may take a random card from another climber's backpack and put it into my backpack. After I resolve the action, I move on to that card. Later turns, I can keep exploring, but I must explore cards that are adjacent to the current location of my meeple, and also I cannot move down. So if I am here at the end of the next turn, then I cannot explore this card. I have to keep moving at the same level or going up. By the way, right now my differential would be of 2 because I have 3 yin and 1 yang. So this is one of the general ideas. Some cards have 0, so after you resolve them, they are removed. At the end of a round, you also remove, at the end of your turn, remove any cards that create balance, that add up to 0. So in this situation, at the end of a round, I can choose to remove this card here that has a 3 yin, and these 2 that have 3 yang. They're simply removed, and they go in another pool, different from your backpack, another pool which is your cache, or cache, like some people call it. Appears to be less correct, but it sounds so much better. So you put the cards that you just swept from your backpack in there. And that's a big thing because, again, your point is not just to climb the top, but to be able to have ideally 0 yin and yang showing, or the smallest differential as you can. So again, an action that you can do during your turn is to explore, and after you explore, move on to that card. Incidentally, if you could sweep cards whose differential is 0 and you forget to do so, once your turn is over, the people can scavenge. That is, they can say, oh, you forgot that one, 3 2 and 1, and basically they're removed from your mountain, which is good for you, but they go in their cache. But suppose that I did not forget, so they go in mine. It's good to have a lot of cards in there. Other things that you can do in your turn instead of exploring, so things that they can also have reduce the randomness. You can take a card from your backpack, put it on your mountain, replacing a face down card, and the card that was removed from there goes in your cache or cache. You can do the same thing with another player. There are some cards that don't have very nice effects, such as this one. And so for your turn, you can put that into someone else's mountain, and the card that you're replacing goes into your personal cache. So these are the 3 things that you're doing as you are climbing the top. Explore, put a card from your backpack on your mountainside, or put a card from your backpack onto someone else's mountainside. Then finally, hopefully you will reach the top. At the point you're set in the game to be peaking. So once you peak, just like Supernatural did at the end of Season 5, 101. The game changes slightly for you. Once you peak, you take your cache and it becomes your backpack. And then you keep playing, but your range of options changes. When it's your turn, you can still simply, you can pass. That's something that you can do. Or you can take cards and put them on your mountainside, and then you flip them and put them on your mountainside. And if they add up to 0, like in this case, you put them face down. Again, in this case, it just so happens a pretty good mountainside, but there is a 2 there. So suppose in my turn, I take a card from my backpack, I put it on the mountainside, and again, 2 and 2 is 0. So right now I have the ideal mountain because I have 0 showing. So when you peaked, one thing you can do is to pass. Another thing you can do is to add a card to your own mountain, trying to balance the force. Or you can also take a card from your former cache, now backpack, and put it onto someone else's mountain, face up, trying to mess them up. However, if you do so, they get to immediately retaliate by flipping a card from your mountain face up, which, depending on the circumstances, may be good or may be bad. It's a game that is pretty simple, but it's also different from so many other games that actually some of the mechanics feel a little bit counterintuitive, but it's not that bad. Summarizing, when you go up, you can explore, flip a card face up, or get a card from your hand backpack onto your mountain, or from your backpack onto someone else's mountain. When you peak, get your backpack and then pass, or add a card to your mountain or a card to someone else's mountain, but they may retaliate. The round is over when everybody has reached their peak. Then at that point you count how many symbols people have visible. Right now I would have a 1, for example. Smallest differential wins, does better. If there's a tie, then the order in which players reach the peak breaks the tie. The earlier you went up there, the better you are in the tiebreaker. And that's it. At the end of a round, the people will score points based on, again, the differential and possibly how quickly they got up there. Rinse and repeat. Everybody gets their cards back, shuffle, build another mountain, get another backpack. Continue to play until a player has scored 9 points and the player is the winner of Annapurna. Sometimes in my videos I say that a new game, to feel different, to have a personality, just needs to get one thing right. Not to reinvent the wheel, but to make it spin slightly differently. Just one change from very well-known mechanics. We've seen games inspired by code names that look kind of like code names, but they are fun enough, they're different enough. None of this begins to describe Annapurna, and so that intro was precisely meant to tell you how different this game is. It doesn't feel like I can't pinpoint where the design may have started. I can't have those genealogies that you see, oh, that was the game, and then they changed this and that, and they innovated that thing, and this is Annapurna. It feels very different. It feels like it came out of nowhere, a flower in the desert or on the glacier, I guess. It's It's pretty surprising how different it is. Precisely because of this, of course, even if you're a seasoned board gamer, learning the game may not be all that obvious. There aren't many rules, but I struggle a little bit just to, I don't know, to see the forest for the trees. I read the rules, I forgot a couple, because again, they just didn't form a single picture. I played it, I realized the mistakes I made, I played it again, and the game started making sense. I played it with my daughters, I played it with the designer. Thank you, Becca, for playing the game with me on Tabletop Simulator, which is not my favorite way of playing games. I don't like to live a lie. But if the option is to live a lie or not to play a game, I guess I'll go with the lie occasionally. But I can't wait to have game night again so I can play this game with other people. It's not complicated, it just feels that way because it's so different. But once you get it, one of the really pleasant surprises is how much variety this game has. You can play it in so many different ways. You may start just rushing to the top and complain, this game is all about luck. I went to the top and I never had any choice. But that's, of course, is your choice to just rush and get whatever is happening. A worry that I had, I'm gonna put a card in front of me because this card is good. But of course the opponent may then put a card there to replace it. And I don't like, of course, these zero-sum mechanics, but it's not really a zero-sum because you cannot do this forever. You can do it only a couple of times as the backpacks get depleted. Maybe you get other cards because of card effects, but you don't know that. So actually, maybe I'm putting a card in front of me, which is a little bit sucky because I know that you're annoying and you're going to spend one of your backpack cards and you're going to put it there. So we get that out of the way. Or I wait until your backpack is depleted and then I can do that thing. So between how you can manipulate your own mountain, how you can influence other people's mountains, there is a lot to decide there. How you are handling and managing your hand. Of course, ultimately you have these very elaborate, wily, coyote, elaborate level plans to make it up there and then cancel everything and then be able to clean everything up. That may or may not work, but it's fun to try to create these plans. And something, again, I usually don't like very much in games, but it works here, is when you have a round that is divided into two pretty distinctive phases. Because when you're climbing the mountains, the game is very different from when you are on top of the mountain. At least it feels different enough. I usually don't like it, and yet somehow here it works. But again, it's up to you to decide if you want to have those two phases. You want to go up there kind of quickly and prepare cards in your cache so that then you will have a second phase to improve things, or you're taking your time, you are preparing your mountain so you will reach the top last, but you will have an astounding situation there. You can really do so many different things. This game can go in so many different directions and there are just so many different interesting decisions to make. And the more you play, the better it gets because really it shines when you play with people that know it already, so they know all the effects. You get that meta game. If she played that card, then what else does she? Why didn't she play that other one? Where's that other card? You had that meta that every decision, of course, has implications. That applies to auto games, but in games where you have unique effects based on cards, such as this one, of course, it's even more so. So if you decide to give this game a try, give it 5 tries. Don't just play it once and make up your mind. Keep an open mind, because it may not be an immediate crowd pleaser. It may be an acquired taste. It was for me, but now I acquired the taste, and I enjoy this taste. I find this is a great game, very unique. Again, it may not work for everybody unless you give it a couple of tries, but that's precisely because it's different, because it has its own personality, because, dare I say it, it's a daring game. It dares to be very different from what we have out there, from the most successful mechanics. This game dares to be its own thing, and I think it's very successful. It's a game with a lot of decisions, flexibility, crazy interaction. If you want to have it, if players decide that they don't want to backstab each other all that much, they don't have to. So much flexibility, so many different almost modes of gameplay, all implied, all possible thanks to the game. Annapurna, I like this game very much. Give it a try. Now give it 5 times. You may like it also. I think it's a quite remarkable game for how fresh, different, unique it is, for the strong personality that it has. This may also be the obstacle that makes it a little harder for people to fall in love with it, but I know that I am in love with this one.